Good morning. I hereby call to order this 17th meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2025. We welcome everyone joining us here in the room today, as well as those joining us on a live stream. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today, we recognize the somber occasion for our state and our nation, the anniversary of the horrific events of September 11, 2001. Most of us can remember where we were as those tragic events unfolded that morning. Today, on Patriot Day, we honor the nearly 3,000 people we lost that fateful day 24 years ago, including the 40 passengers and crew members who died on United Airlines Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. We would like to take a moment to pay respect to the first responders and fellow citizens who selflessly ran towards dangers as others fled. Now, on this National Day of Service and Remembrance, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence so we never forget. Thank you. Today's meeting, which is open to the public, the Commission will act on various matters. Since adequate forums have been made available for public participation in cases before the Commission, there is no opportunity for the public to address the Commission at this public meeting. The public meeting motions, statements, and video will be available on the Commission's website later today. The first matter on this morning's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of August 14th, 2025. I would like to recognize Commissioner Zerfas as the editor of the minutes. Commissioner Zerfas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes of the August 14, 2025 public meeting and move that they be approved as submitted.
You've heard the motion by Commissioner Zerfas. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved by a vote of 5-0. Let us begin on page 1 of today's agenda and matters presented by Director Hafner in the Office of Special Assistance. I move that the Commission adopt a proposed opinion and order regarding the formal complaint of Michael Jennings versus West Penn Power Company. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Zerfas.
Mr. Chairman, just some brief verbal remarks. I'm going to be dissenting on this matter because I believe that the expert witness testimony of the complainant's doctor was improperly excluded from the record based on some technicalities under procedural circumstances in the case. The improper exclusion of the expert witness testimony was prejudicial to the complainant because the law requires customer complainants to present expert medical testimony in order to prove their claims. So I will be a no. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfas. Any further comments?
Chairman, I have a verbal as well.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. I do agree with Commissioner Zerfas on this one. I don't believe due process was satisfied in this case. At the evidentiary hearing, the complainant's expert was prohibited from testifying because the pro se complainant had difficulty authenticating the expert's written testimony. The expert doctor was at the hearing, and that is the problem. He could have solved that problem by reproducing the record in real time, the testimony in real time. This option wasn't afforded to the complainant, and I don't believe the second hearing cured the issue because the opportunity to reopen the record was not adequately explained. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
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 The ayes have it, and matters are approved by a vote of 3-2, noting the dissents of Vice Chair Barrow and Commissioner Zerfas. Turning to page 2 of today's agenda, I move that the Commission adopt a proposed opinion and order regarding the formal complaints of Office Partners versus Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the matter is approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 3, I move that the commission adopt a proposed opinion and order regarding the joint application of Appalachian Utilities and Pennsylvania American Water Company. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? I do have a motion in this matter. I ask Vice Chair Barrow to chair the meeting.
Chairman, you are recognized for purposes of your motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. I ask that my motion be entered into the record as though I read it in its entirety. Before the commissions are exceptions to the initial decision in the subject reference case. Appalachian Utilities Incorporated seeks approval to sell 40% of its equity shares from its sole existing shareholder to the company's Director of Operations. Further, Appalachian and Pennsylvania American Water Company jointly seek approval, post-stock sale, for Pennsylvania American to purchase Appalachian. I do not support the initial decision's denial of the utility sale application. Rather, for many reasons outlined in both Appalachian's and Pennsylvania American's exceptions, I support approval. However, I wish to take this opportunity to address the Commission's jurisdiction over the 40% stock sale proposed herein. In the initial decision, Administrative Law Judge Conrad A. Johnson states that the Commission has jurisdiction to consider Appalachian stock sale application. I concur. The Public Utility Code clearly articulates that a Certificate of Public Convenience, or CPC, must be obtained, quote, for any public utility to acquire from or transfer to any person by any method or device whatsoever, including the sale or transfer of stock, end quote. The fact that Appalachian filed a stock sale application is evidence of its understanding of this requirement. Pursuant to the Commission's endeavor to reduce any ambiguity in our jurisdiction over stock transfers and sales, the Commission established a policy statement on October 22nd, 1994 at 52 PA Code Section 69.901. In summary, the stock transfer policy establishes two tests that both must be satisfied to require a CPC. First, the transfer or sale must involve the controlling interest, defined as exceeding 20% of shares. Second, the transaction must result in a different entity becoming the beneficial holder of the largest voting interest in the utility or parent. In reviewing this stock sale application, it becomes clearly challenging to determine how the Commission's two-tier stock transfer policy comports with our statutory obligations under Section 1102 of the Public Utility Code. It is well established that the Commission regulations and orders cannot exceed the bounds of an enumerating statute. The Commission must act within and cannot exceed its jurisdiction. I recognize the stock transfer policy was promulgated to reduce ambiguity as to when an application for a CPC is required. It would not be prudent to require utilities to file applications for de minimis stock sales. I note the statute does provide exemptions for transactions involving utility property and physical assets. However, lacking any exceptions for stock transfer transactions, the Commission established the two-tier stock transfer policy discussed herein. In summary, I find that the stock transfer policy establishes exemptions that far exceed what I perceive as practical regulatory requirements consistent with the statute. Specifically, I find the provision in the stock transfer policy requiring a CPC only when a transaction results in a different entity becoming the beneficial holder of the largest voting interest in the utility or parent to be incompatible with Section 1102A3 of the Public Utility Code. Conversely, I do find the provision establishing a 20% bright line test for a CPC to be reasonable. Such a determination is consistent with the Commission's recent ruling in a joint application of American Transmission Systems Incorporated et al. In that case, the Commission provided a CPC even though the transaction did not involve a different entity becoming the beneficial holder of the largest voting interest, but did involve a transaction of over 20% of membership shares. In summary, I believe Commission jurisdiction should be applied when a transaction involves more than 20% of shares, or if it involves a different entity becoming the majority shareholder. To that end, I find a reasonable reading of the statute clearly indicates that the stock transfer application is jurisdictional. As such, I would approve the stock transfer application as it is in the public interest and directly necessary to manifest the purported benefits of the utility cell application. Further, I would approve the utility cell application based on the positions outlined in the exceptions of Appalachian and American Water detailing the various public benefits. Therefore, I move that 1, the exceptions of Appalachian Utilities Incorporated and Pennsylvania American Water are granted in part and denied in part. 2, the application of Appalachian Utilities Incorporated, as well as the joint application of Appalachian Utilities Incorporated and Pennsylvania American Water Company are approved consistent with this motion. 3, the initial decision of Administrative Law Judge Conrad A. Johnson issued on February 20th, 2025 is modified consistent with this motion. And 4, the Office of Special Assistants prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion on the motion? I do have a statement. I will not read it. It's in its entirety. I will summarize. My statement has to do with the sales price. The total purchase price for Appalachian's water system is significantly higher, $3.5 million or 250% higher than the depreciated original cost of the system minus customer contributions. The Office of Consumer Advocate and the Office of Small Business Advocate calculated the depreciated original costs of the system at $1.4 million, less customer contributions. PA American avers that if the transaction is approved, somewhere between that 1.4 million and 3.5 will be placed into rate base. This means customers face the risk of the total purchase price of 3.5 million being placed into rate base. So you've heard me speak on this practice before. It's clear from the record that the company is paying a much higher amount for the system than its depreciated original cost. I understand that because this is not a 1329, the rate base that PAWC may potentially claim in a future base rate proceeding is not fully known at this time. And the company's not requested Section 1327 treatment of this proceeding. Yet, the price of the acquisition is germane to this proceeding. Simply by approving the sale and then putting off consideration of the impact on rates to a later base rate proceeding, the Commission cannot do the balancing test required by Section 1102 of the Code to weigh all of the factors for and against a transaction. And all of the factors does include the impact on rates when we determine whether there is a substantial public benefit. So here, the rate impact will be between that 1.4 million and 3.5. Those facts are uncontroverted. If the entire 3.5 is what is claimed, that's a 250% premium over depreciated original cost, and the beneficial capital investments that PAWC projects will result in a $458,000 annual revenue deficiency of the system. Mind you, I believe this acquisition needs to happen, but I'm going on at length about the cost of the acquisition. All of the reasons that were claimed in the application as to why this acquisition and this merger needs to happen, I absolutely agree with. But it would be remiss of me not to talk on the balancing test required of us by 1102. So acquisition of Appalachian strengthens PAWC's finances simply by the addition of those customer accounts, whether or not PAWC pays net book value or overpays by 250%. I believe that any overpayment should be absorbed by the company shareholders. Thank you. Any further discussion? Chairman Coleman? Commissioner Coleman?
Thank you for the promotion this morning.
Oh, you can have it. You can have it.
I'm perfectly comfortable sitting in this chair, though. Commissioner Yenor and I have a joint statement, and we would ask that that joint statement be entered into the record as though we read it in its entirety. As we've heard this morning, this is a water acquisition case, and we're fully supportive of this acquisition by PAWC of Appalachian. Unfortunately, there is a larger overarching issue that compels us to be a no vote on the chairman's motion here this morning. And just let me take a few minutes here to explain. As you've heard, that there is a stock transfer going on concurrently as this application is before us. And the overarching issue here is the change of control. Appalachian has filed with us this 40% stock transfer where there is a sole owner looking to transfer 40% of the company interest to one employee. So at the end of the day, the controlling interest does not change here. The gentleman who heretofore owns 100% of the company will own 60% of the company. He is still the controlling interest in this company, and that's at the heart of this. The presiding ALJ recommended denying the application for the stock transfer, finding that the sale established a new controlling interest, which we disagree with, but the approval of the transfer would not benefit the public interest in some substantial way. Both PAWC and Appalachian filed exceptions to the finding. Both parties asserted that the ALJ failed to apply Section 69.901B1 of our policy statement addressing utility stock transfer. As there is no actual change in control resulting from the transfer, the Commission ultimately lacks jurisdiction to approve or disapprove that transaction. We agree with the exceptions that the proposed stock transfer is not jurisdictional. The Commission has, on occasion, reviewed and denied application for lack of jurisdiction where the transaction did not result in the actual change in control. This interpretation appears to comply with the language of Section 1102A2 of the Public Utility Code, excuse me, which situates stocks transfers in context of acquisition and transfer that result in the change of control. Statute should be construed to give effect to all of their provisions. In this matter, the proposed 40% stock transfer from the sole owner of Appalachian to a long-term employee will not result in a different entity becoming the beneficial holder of the largest voting interest in Appalachian, nor will it result in the elimination of a controlling interest in Appalachian. As such, the proposed stock transfer is not a change in control and is not jurisdictional pursuant to Section 69.901B1 of the Commission's policy statement on stock transfers. Moreover, the lawfulness of the policy statement was not an issue raised in the parties presiding in this ALJ case. Nor was the scope of the Commission's jurisdiction regarding stock transfers litigated in the proceeding below. Accordingly, the parties to this proceeding were not given notice and opportunity to be heard on the motion's de facto rescission of the policy statement by finding that one of the subsections is contrary to law. The motion also seemingly disregards the Commission's prior finding that the language in Section 1102A3 of the code was ambiguous and concludes that there are no exceptions to the Commission's authority to review and approve all stock transfers. Specifically, the motion nullifies the exceptions contained in 69901B1 of the Commission's policy statement. This represents a significant expansion to the scope of the Commission's jurisdiction without notice or opportunity, not only to the parties to this case, but as this would apply to all jurisdictional utilities. My preference in this matter would have been to approve this acquisition as the chairman's motion calls for, and to pull this particular matter out into a separate proceeding and giving all parties an opportunity to comment. I would concede that a policy statement that has this many years behind it is probably subject to a review, but I would prefer to do it in the light has been the custom of this organization to give all parties an opportunity to comment, as this will have an impact on all regulated utilities in this particular policy statement. In conclusion, given the lack of due process on the de facto rescission of the Commission's policy statement, we would vote to adopt the staff recommendation, and therefore we will not be supporting the proposed motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Any further discussion?
Vice Chair Barrow, if I can
Chairman.
address some of the issues that Commissioner Coleman raised. Commissioner is correct. This is a policy statement, and it even predates his tenure here on the commission. However, it is clear to me that our policy statement is in direct contrast to the law. I think the will of the General Assembly is to have us approve transfers of stock. And to put this in perspective, if we listen to the dissenting statement here, or the statement of the two commissioners here, to put this in a practical situation, the Chinese Sovereign Wealth Fund could come in and buy 49% of PPL, and we don't have any jurisdiction over that. I completely disagree with that. I believe that we would have to approve a transfer like that. I think the parties of this case recognize that we have to approve the transfer of stock. That's why they filed the application. We had a case earlier this year with First Energy where they filed an application for transfer of stock. So I think what's happening here with our utilities is we've created confusion here. Our policy statement is in direct contrast with law, existing state law. And I think our regulated entities are erring on the side of caution and the law in filing these applications. I do believe that this is absolutely ripe to consider this in this setting, and I would ask for an affirmative vote. Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you, Chairman. Any further discussion?
Chairman, I hesitate to debate at the bench here, but I think the operative words here are controlling interest. The definition of controlling interest is the party who controls the company. In this case, there was one person who owned the company, and they're proposing for two people to own the company. The controlling interest is the person who has the control of the company. In this particular matter before us, this is not changing. The individual who had the controlling interest before this was proposed will remain to have the controlling interest. To your point of a Chinese company buying 49% of something, the controlling interest still remains with whoever that 51% owner is. That 51% owner is the one who decides the future and the destiny of that company, whether there is a 49% owner or a 10% owner. In your example, there are two parties involved there, one being a majority owner at 51% and one being 49%. The controlling party is the 51% owner who gets to decide whether a company bought, sold, borrows money, whatever the case may be. That's corporate law. And again, that if we're going to determine that we're going to take a different tact here, this commission has stood strong on giving all parties an opportunity to comment and not doing it on the back of a case where none of the parties that are going to be affected by this will have an opportunity to comment. And that due process is foundational to this organization. And that's why, again, I feel compelled to have to speak again this morning. So I apologize for the debate here at the bench this morning, but I think this is a foundational issue and a very important issue of due process to this organization. And if we got it wrong in a policy statement, then make it right in a policy statement with full transparency with all parties to have an opportunity to comment. Thank you.
Vice Chair Barrow. Again, debate isn't a bad word. Debate's good. It's good to have a vibrant debate. So I'm not going to apologize for the debate here today. But I will say state law does supersede our policy statement. And I have no disagreement with Commissioner Coleman in that our policy statement does say that. And his statement is following that policy statement. My point is our policy statement is contradictory to state law. There is no exemption in state law that says if it's a minority membership that, in fact, state law went through and cited exemptions to that section. So I would think that if the General Assembly, if the policymakers said, hey, we're okay with a 49% transfer not coming before the PUC, it would have been enumerated in the law. I have a long-standing experience in the General Assembly, and I know policy, and I know how laws are written, and that would have been listed. The General Assembly leaving that out of the law means that they want these approved by the PUC, and I believe we missed our mark in '94 when we made that policy statement. So we will be going back and redoing that, but we're not going to keep continuing making a mistake and countering or being counteractive to state law, contradictory to state law, because we have it in the policy statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Any further discussion? I would like to ask Secretary Homscher to have my statement entered into the record as though it was read in its entirety. Thank you very much. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any objections?
No.
Was that a no? I can hear you. No. Okay. On final adoption, and any objection to using the previous roll call vote? Hearing none, the recommendation is adopted as amended by the motion by a vote of 3-2, noting the dissents of Commissioners Coleman and Commissioners Yanora. The gavel's yours, Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Continuing on today's agenda, on the bottom of page 3, I move that the Commission adopt an omnibus motion beginning with the remaining item on page 3, the proposed opinion in order regarding the formal complaint of Shasta Patrice Brown versus Pico Energy Company, and ending the omnibus with a single item on page 4, which is the proposed opinion in order in the formal complaint of Shasta Patrice Brown versus the Philadelphia Gas Works. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zerfas. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters are approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 5, and matters presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services. I move that the Commission adopt an omnibus motion, both items on page 5, beginning with the application of Comcast Business Communications, LLC, and continuing the omnibus to include all 3 items on page 6, and a single item on page 7, ending the omnibus with the application of Pennsylvania American Water. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters are approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 8, and matters presented by Chief Counsel Screven and the Law Bureau. I move that the Commission adopt the proposed order regarding the petition of True Connect Communications Incorporated. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters approved by a vote of 5-0. Continuing on page 8, I move the Commission adopt the proposed final order regarding the replacement of plastic pipe and natural gas distribution systems. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zerfas. Any discussion? I do have a statement in this matter. I ask my statement be entered into the record as though I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission is a proposed final order that would resolve an initiative I began in August of 2024 to address the safety and reliability of Pennsylvania's natural gas distribution systems as it relates to older plastic pipe materials. Although federal agencies like the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, and the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, or PHMSA, began warning the natural gas industry in the late 1990s of the vulnerability of plastic pipe installed between the 1960s and early 1980s to brittle-like cracking. A preliminary survey revealed that distribution systems in the Commonwealth still contain these materials. Through the comment process in this proceeding, it also became apparent that the identity and exact location of older plastic pipe materials in Pennsylvania's natural gas distribution systems are not always known. This is due in large part to disparities between modern record-keeping practices and those that were in place when older plastic pipe was installed. Today's action, if adopted, will initiate a process for all public utilities distributing natural gas to identify and catalog older plastic pipelines and components within their distribution systems, will provide a plan for doing so. In the interim, public utilities distributing natural gas will be required to differentiate older plastic pipe from modern plastic pipe in their distribution integrity management plans, or DIMPs, or DIMP. A DIMP is a written plan where utilities develop and implement their approach to ensuring the integrity of their gas distribution systems. After current potential threats are identified, utilities are required to evaluate and rank the risk of those threats. There may be instances where the location of other aging pipe materials like cast iron or bare steel pose a greater risk than older plastic pipe based on a utility's assessment. Gas utilities know their systems best. However, the proposed outcome of this proceeding would be the impetus to bolster a utility's knowledge of its distribution system by identifying older plastic pipe and components so that a utility is capable of evaluating and ranking any associated risk. I continue to encourage utilities to target older plastic pipe materials for removal and replacement for concerns outlined in by the NTSB and PHMSA. The replacement of older plastic pipe may prevent future natural gas incidents involving these materials. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 9, and matters presented by Chief A.L.J. Rainey in the Office of Administrative Law Judge. I move that the Commission adopt the recommended decision of A.L.J. Haas and A.L.J. Gannon regarding the joint application of Frontier Communications and Verizon Communications. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Zerfus.
So Chairman, just a quick verbal statement. As part of the settlement, Verizon has committed to ensuring that low-income customers, including those of Frontier, who qualify for the Lifeline program, will continue to have access to essential telephone and internet service. The company will make the Verizon Forward program available in the acquired regions, contingent upon availability, and will fund it with company resources if there are changes to the federal program. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But with Lifeline Awareness Week this week, I thought it was fitting to highlight this important piece of the settlement. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. Any further comments?
Chairman, I have a statement.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. Please enter my statement into the record as though read in its entirety. There was no commission participation in the settlement discussions, and because of that, I do encourage Verizon to provide a copy of the welcome letter and other notices sent to current Frontier customers to the Commission's Bureau of Consumer Services for review and suggested edits. I further encourage Verizon to provide BCS with any educational materials and information related to the Verizon Forward program. As the boots on the ground and the public-facing part of the Commission, the BCS employees handle calls and questions directly from the public and will need the tools to provide helpful and correct information to current and future Verizon customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters approved by a vote of 5-0. Continuing on page 9, I move that the commission adopt the initial decision of ALJ Dunderdale in the formal complaint of Kerry Petrosky versus Peoples Natural Gas. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a statement.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. Please enter my statement into the record as though read in its entirety. The complainant here, she's seeking restoration of gas service. The service has been off for 2 years. There is a balance of $1,364 owed on it. And the complainant did not appear at the rescheduled hearing on May 20th, 2025. Of note, counsel for Peoples indicated that they spoke to the complainant prior to the hearing, and they were advised that the complainant was working on the day of the hearing and might be unable to attend. While counsel was open to a continuance, an oral motion for failure to appear was made. Of importance, counsel did not request that the matter be dismissed with prejudice. The initial decision dated July 23rd of this year dismissed the formal complaint with prejudice without any explanation on the basis for dismissal with prejudice. And ordering paragraph number 1 provides that the oral motion of Peoples Natural Gas Company to dismiss with prejudice the formal complaint is granted. Based upon this record, I believe that it was improperly dismissed with prejudice for failure to attend the hearing. Notably, Peoples did not request dismissal with prejudice, and thus ordering paragraph number 1 at a minimum is incorrect. In addition, in cases where there's no reason to suspect that our administrative process is being abused, dismissing without prejudice protects the complainant's right to due process, and it's not that onerous on us as an agency. This case should be dismissed, but without prejudice. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Any further comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Zerfus.
I would like to associate myself with the Vice Chair's comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
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 The ayes have it, and matters are approved by a vote of 3-2, noting the dissents of Vice Chair Barrow and Commissioner Zerfus. Turning to page 10 of today's agenda, I move that the commission adopt the recommended decision of Deputy Chief ALJ Hoyer and ALJ Collins regarding the tariff supplement of UGI Gas Division. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? I do have a statement in this matter. I ask my statement be entered into the record as though I read it in its entirety. Today, the Commission considers a joint petition for approval of a settlement that would resolve all issues associated with the general rate increase filed by UGI. The Commission is also considering the recommended decision of Deputy Chief ALJ Mark Hoyer and Administrative Law Judge Sharice Collins, which recommends approving the settlement without modification. Signatories to the settlement include all main parties to the proceeding. In its initial filing, UGI proposed an increase to its total annual operating revenues of $110.4 million, or a 14.1% increase over the amount of annual distribution revenues at present rates. The agreed upon increase of $69.5 million per year in the settlement is approximately 63% of UGI's requested increase and nearly $41 million per year less. UGI explained that the primary drivers for the requested rate increase are to continue the accelerated replacement of aging infrastructure, modernize facilities, and upgrade information technology systems, which are necessary to ensure the safety of customers, UGI's employees, and the communities UGI serves. The settlement contains several provisions that I believe meaningfully enhance UGI's gas service. Notably, UGI has agreed to implement a 2-year methane detector pilot program where a minimum of 500 units will be deployed using a combination of both smart remote methane detectors and standard non-communicating methane detectors. Methane detectors serve as useful aids in assisting consumers, especially those who are unable to smell the odorant added to natural gas, by alerting them to the presence of natural gas. Smart remote methane detectors go a step further and timely communicate gas leaks to the utility so the utility is able to promptly respond. Today, methane detectors are commercially available and installation and performance standards have been adopted. I am pleased that the parties to the settlement also recognize the safety value of deploying methane detectors. The settlement also provides for enhancements to UGI's universal service programs. These include implementing the Commission's common application form for enrollment into UGI's CAP and, with customer consent, using data from LIHEAP to recertify CAP customers. UGI will also increase its LIHEAP budget by $1 million annually and its annual shareholder contribution to UGI's hardship program, Operation Share, by $500,000 annually. The affordability of utility service has always been a central concern, and this is especially true now more than ever before, as residential utility customers face increased costs in nearly every facet of their lives. These important settlement provisions related to UGI's universal service programs not only benefit low-income customers, but also should reduce overall costs to UGI and its ratepayers associated with more customers receiving affordable service. I commend the parties who represent diverse interests for their efforts in reaching a settlement of all issues. The settlement includes significant terms, such as those I highlighted, which might not have been achieved if the matter were litigated. Thank you. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the matter is approved by a vote of 5-0. Continuing on page 10 of today's agenda, I move that the Commission adopt an omnibus motion, the remaining item on page 10, beginning with the initial decision of ALJ Allensworth in the formal complaint of Michael Aid versus UGI Gas Division, and ending the omnibus with the single item on page 11, ALJ Dunderdale's initial decision in the formal complaint of Martin's Tire versus First Energy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the matter is approved by a vote of 5-0. That concludes today's regular agenda. Now turning to the carry-in. On page 1 of the carry-in agenda, and additional items presented by Director Hafner and the Office of Special Assistance, I move that the Commission adopt the proposed an opinion and order regarding the formal complaint of Monroe Energy et al. Versus Laurel Pipeline Company. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 2 of the carrying agenda, and additional items presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, I move that the Commission record the action taken by notational vote on August 28, 2025, via issuance of an order granting the joint motion of Deer Haven and PL Utilities. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Zerfus.
Mr. Chairman, I have a statement. Please enter into the record as if I read it in its entirety. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to submit it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters approved by a vote of 5-0. That concludes all agenda items to be considered today. But before we adjourn, I would like to recognize Commissioner Zerfus for a special rail safety statement. Commissioner Zerfus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So next week, September 15th through the 21st, we will recognize C-TRACS, Think Train Week, formerly known as Rail Safety Week. This is a collaborative effort among Operation Lifesaver, State Operation Lifesaver programs, and rail safety partners across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The purpose of this week-long observance is to prevent railroad crossing and trespass incidents across North America and to concentrate public attention on the need for rail safety education. Organizations like Operation Lifesaver provide some critical tips to keep in mind, such as always stay off the tracks. It's not only illegal, but it's dangerous. Remember that trains have the right of way and never try to outrun them. Always cross tracks at designated crossings. Stay alert. Avoid distractions like texting or headphones. And never drive around lowered crossing gates under any circumstances. Here at the PUC, we remain focused on maintaining and improving safety across the rail system. This work is essential to protecting both the public and those working within the rail system. I've had the opportunity to be in the field along some of our rail safety inspectors, observing firsthand the work that they do every day. So I can personally attest to their remarkable knowledge, skills, and dedication to keeping the rail system safe. So in closing, let's all commit to staying safe around railroads. Whether you're walking, driving, or cycling, please take a moment to remember these safety tips. Your actions can make a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. Next, I would like to recognize Vice Chair Barrow for Digital Connectivity and Lifeline Awareness Week. Vice Chair Barrow.
Thanks, Chairman. This week, September 7th through September 13th, we are supporting the national effort recognizing Digital Connectivity and Lifeline Awareness Week. This is a yearly campaign to help eligible low-income Pennsylvanians stay connected through the Lifeline program. In today's connected world, the Lifeline program helps ensure that income-eligible families are not left behind by providing an affordable link to emergency help, job opportunities, government services, community resources, education, and most importantly, friends and family. The federal Lifeline program provides assistance to consumers who are either participants in specified public assistance programs or meet specific income criteria. These consumers can benefit from discounts of up to $9.25 per month for broadband qualifying services, up to $5.25 per month for voice qualifying services, and up to $34.25 per month for residents residing on tribal lands. An additional $25 discount is also available for low-income subscribers residing on tribal lands. Consumers are urged to reach out to their telephone providers to apply for the Lifeline program if they're not already participating. The ability to stay connected holds the power to bridge the gap between social inclusion and isolation, and everyone deserves access to phone and digital communications. In addition to the Lifeline program, several broadband providers offer their own low-cost or low-income programs to help PA consumers. The PUC has updated its educational materials on the Lifeline program. Visit our website at puc.pa.gov to see them. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. And finally, this fall, the PUC will continue to host our Be Utility Wise consumer education conferences throughout the Commonwealth. Be Utility Wise serves as the PUC's signature consumer education program dedicated to consumer advocacy, utility education, and resource sharing. The goal of the program is to educate those on the front lines of health and human services. Presented as a community service of the PUC, Be Utility Wise and Be Wise provide a train-the-trainer forum that bring together frontline community service agencies, utilities, and other key stakeholders to promote consumer awareness, utility education, life management skills, and financial literacy. Our consumer educators, Christine Chase Pettis and Sherry Williams, and the PUC's Office of Communications do an incredible job each year organizing these train-the-trainer events in all areas of Pennsylvania. Earlier this year, we held a conference in Philadelphia. This month, we will be in Pittsburgh and Wilkes-Barre in the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton areas. In October, we head to Berks County and Johnstown. And in November, you will find us here in the Harrisburg area. In 2024, we successfully reached more than 650 conference attendees through our outreach efforts. To find out more information on how to attend one of these events, visit the consumer education page on the PUC's website at puc.pa.gov. Now, if there is no other business to come before the commission, is there any objection to adjourning today's meeting? Hearing none, we are adjourned.